Summary of the City of Stardust written by Georgia Summers. Chapter 1. The Everly house stood silent in the aftermath of the storm, rain-soaked windows, and a pervasive dampness lingering in the air. Ambrose Everly, exhausted from the emotional turmoil of the night, found himself alone in the library. The ancestral portraits lining the hallway seemed to watch him with glum indifference as he pondered the revelations brought by his long-lost brother, Gabriel. The rain, now a soft drizzle, continued to plink against the windows, creating a melancholic backdrop to Ambrose's thoughts. He replayed the events of the night in his mind, the unexpected arrival of Gabriel, the revelation that Violet, his niece, was no longer a secret, and the ominous threat that loomed over their family. In the dim light of the library, Ambrose's thoughts were interrupted by a soft creaking sound. He turned to see Violet Everly emerging from the shadows, her eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. She clutched a worn-out book against her chest, a small shield against the uncertainty that now surrounded them. "Violet," Ambrose sighed, a mixture of relief and concern washing over him. "You should be in bed. It's late." Violet nodded, her curly hair bouncing with the movement. "I heard voices, Uncle Ambrose." "What's happening?" Ambrose hesitated, searching for the right words. How does one explain the complexities of family secrets and unexpected threats to a child? We have some things to figure out, Violet. Things that might affect us, and we need to make some decisions." The gravity of Ambrose's words seemed to register in Violet's eyes. She bit her lower lip, her fingers tracing the edges of the book in her hands. "Is it about Mom?" Ambrose sighed again, this time with a heavy heart. "Yes, Violet. It's about your mom. But don't worry, we'll figure it out together." As Ambrose spoke, the library door creaked open, and Gabriel re-entered, his leather jacket now damp with rain. His sunglasses were pushed up onto his forehead, revealing eyes that held a mixture of weariness and determination. "We need to talk," Gabriel said, his tone grave. Ambrose motioned towards Violet. "She's here. She deserves to know." Gabriel hesitated for a moment, his gaze shifting between Ambrose and Violet. Then, with a reluctant nod, he motioned for them to gather in the center of the room. The three Everlys stood together, forming an impromptu family circle in the dimly lit library. Ambrose took a deep breath, preparing himself for the difficult conversation that lay ahead. "Violet," Gabriel began, his voice softer than before, "your mom, Marianne, she's been involved in some things. Things that have caught up with us." Violet's eyes widened, and she clutched her book tighter. "What things, Uncle Gabriel?" Ambrose interjected, trying to soften the blow. "We're still figuring it out, sweetheart. But it's important to know that we're here for you, and we'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe." Gabriel continued, "The problem is, someone found out about Marianne, about you, and now we're in a situation where we need to be very careful. There might be people looking for us." Violet's eyes flickered with a mixture of fear and confusion. "But why? What did Mom do?" Ambrose exchanged a worried glance with Gabriel before attempting to explain. "Your mom was involved in something complicated. Something that made her, and, by extension, us, a target. And now we have to navigate through this mess and make sure you're safe." Violet looked from one uncle to the other, her young mind grappling with the weight of the situation. "What are we going to do?" Gabriel crouched down to Violet's eye level, his demeanor softer than ever. "We're going to try and make a plan, sweetheart. But it might involve some changes. Changes to keep you safe." Ambrose added, "We might need to leave for a while, go somewhere nobody can find us. But we'll always come back for you, Violet. Your family, and family sticks together." Violet nodded slowly, absorbing the information. The gravity of the situation hung heavy in the air, and the library felt like a sanctuary within the storm of uncertainty. As the night turned into the early morning hours, the Everlys began to formulate a plan. They discussed options, weighing the risks and benefits of each decision. Violet, though young, showed a resilience that surprised both Ambrose and Gabriel. She asked thoughtful questions and expressed her willingness to do whatever it took to keep her family safe. Ambrose couldn't help but feel a sense of pride mixed with sadness. Pride in Violet's maturity and strength, and sadness for the innocence she was losing in the face of adversity. Gabriel, despite his gruff exterior, took on the responsibility of contacting his connections, seeking a safe haven for the Everleys. Ambrose focused on preparing the house for an imminent departure, packing essentials, and leaving the appearance of normalcy behind. In the midst of the chaos, the strained relationship between the brothers surfaced. Old wounds reopened as they argued about past decisions, particularly Marianne's departure and the responsibilities each brother had shouldered in her absence. "You had the lucrative job that would keep the house afloat," Ambrose accused, frustration evident in his voice. "And you're running. And leaving us to clear up her goddamn mess." "As usual." Gabriel's response was a defensive glare. "Marianne is like a bruise where I'm concerned," he snapped. "And if you think for 1 second I'd risk the kids' safety." The argument hung in the air, a tense acknowledgement of their shared history and divergent paths. Despite their differences, both brothers knew that the focus had to remain on Violet's safety. As the first light of dawn painted the sky, Gabriel received a call from one of his contacts. A safe location had been secured, a temporary refuge where the Everleys could regroup and plan their next move. "We need to leave soon," Gabriel declared, his tone urgent. "We can't afford to wait any longer." Ambrose nodded, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on his shoulders. He stole a glance at Violet, who sat quietly, absorbing the adult conversations around her. It was a sight that tugged at Ambrose's heart, a child forced to grow up too soon. The Everleys moved with a sense of purpose, their actions synchronized by the shared goal of keeping Violet safe. The house, once a haven, now felt like a temporary sanctuary, a place they had to leave behind to protect the fragile existence they had left. In the final moments before departure, Ambrose stood in the doorway of Violet's room. She lay asleep, seemingly unaware of the upheaval that awaited her when she woke. Ambrose lingered for a moment, his gaze filled with both love and regret. He brushed a strand of hair from Violet's face and whispered a promise. "We'll come back for you, Violet. I promise. This is just a temporary storm, and we'll find a way through it together." With that, Ambrose closed the door gently, leaving behind the only life Violet had ever known. The Everleys stepped into the unknown, their path uncertain, but their determination to protect their own unwavering. The storm outside had passed, but the echoes of that fateful night would linger in the Everley family's memory for years to come. Chapter 2. Violet Everley, a dreamer at the tender age of 12, sought refuge in the realms of imagination. Her preferred gateway was an old wardrobe nestled in the library, its door leading to a world of adventures waiting to be discovered. Armed with a thin torch and a thick, enchanting book, she would lose herself in the golden cities, silver filigree buildings, and the captivating landscapes described in the pages. Her quest for escapism reached new heights when she overheard her uncle Ambrose conversing with a mysterious visitor named Gabriel. Gabriel, a rare presence in their lives, brought with him gifts of enchantment, clockwork statues, nesting dolls, and a perpetual light that defied the laws of batteries. Violet, an avid eavesdropper on late-night phone calls, pieced together that Gabriel was involved in some vaguely illegal activities, veiled in secrecy. The plot thickened when Gabriel casually mentioned Violet's long-absent mother, Marianne Everley. Marianne, a fading presence but an ever-present mystery, had dissolved from Violet's life, leaving behind only fragments, a lingering perfume, a slim gold watch, and a chair that remained unused. Ambrose, attempting to fill the void of parental guidance, had shielded Violet from the truth about her mother. The narrative took a decisive turn when Penelope, an elegant woman exuding an air of sophistication, entered the scene. Ambrose, usually dressed in a rumpled jumper and jeans, donned a more polished appearance to greet her. Penelope's arrival marked a significant moment, and Violet's unease heightened as she observed the exchange between the mysterious woman and her uncle. Penelope, seated elegantly in Ambrose's favorite armchair, radiated an aura of authority. Her hair, a pale flaxen gold, framed a face devoid of adornments. Her attire, though nondescript, hinted at expert tailoring and expensive fabric. Violet, unable to shake off the shiver that ran down her spine, drew away when Penelope extended her hand in greeting. "Hello, little dreamer," Penelope greeted Violet, her voice as soft and unassuming as her appearance. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Violet hesitated, shivering, and pulled away from the offered hand. Behind her, Ambrose intervened, attempting to explain Violet's shyness. "She's a bit shy." "It's been a long time since we've had any visitors," Ambrose said, injecting his usual mild warmth into the conversation. Encouraged by Ambrose, Violet reluctantly approached Penelope. Instead of a mere handshake, Penelope clasped both of Violet's hands in hers, pressing her thumbs into Violet's palms. After a moment, she released Violet and expressed her delight. "Well, you are your mother's daughter," Penelope remarked, turning her attention to Ambrose. "She's the spitting image of Marianne at that age. And just as talented, no doubt. What a fortuitous discovery. To think you have been holding out on me for so long. All those birthday cards I never got to send." Ambrose's forehead knitted in confusion, but before he could inquire further, a small figure sidled past him to stand behind Penelope. A boy, slightly older than Violet, with dark curly hair brushing the nape of his neck. His eyes, the color of gray sea glass, watched Violet suspiciously. Dressed in old-fashioned clothes, a faded red woolen waistcoat over a shirt showing signs of age, the boy held himself stiffly. "Ah, my assistant," Penelope gestured to the child behind her. "This is Alexander." Violet glared back at Alexander, who reciprocated the suspicion. Ambrose, diverting Violet's attention, suggested she give Alexander a tour of the house. Reluctantly, Violet complied, closing the door behind them, leaving Ambrose and Penelope to their mysterious conversation. Ambrose, not an old man but burdened with responsibilities and the weight of past choices, faced Penelope's demands. Penelope asserted a debt owed by the Everly name and hinted at potential harm to Violet if Ambrose failed to fulfill her conditions. Panic gripped Ambrose as he assured Penelope that Gabriel was actively searching for Marianne. In a precarious negotiation, Penelope proposed a deal: she would spare Violet if Ambrose found Marianne within 10 years. Ambrose, desperate to protect Violet, agreed to the pact, unaware of the consequences that would unfold. The tension climaxed as Ambrose sealed the deal with a handshake. Penelope's grip intensified, unleashing a wave of pain and darkness. Lights flickered, shadows gathered, and Ambrose collapsed to the floor in agony. Penelope, no longer smiling, accused him of withholding information about Violet. As Ambrose struggled to recover, Penelope emphasized the 10-year deadline. The story concluded with an ominous air, leaving Ambrose with the daunting task of finding Marianne within the stipulated time. In this richly woven narrative, elements of fantasy, family secrets, and a quest for redemption intersect. Violet's dreamy escapades collide with the harsh reality of hidden family truths, setting the stage for a suspenseful journey into the unknown. The mysterious characters, the enigmatic Gabriel, the elegant Penelope, and the absent Marianne, contribute to the intrigue, leaving readers eager to unravel the Everly family's secrets and the consequences of the supernatural pact. As the countdown begins, the narrative promises a gripping exploration of love, sacrifice, and the lengths one goes to protect those they hold dear.